Hi! Hey, how are you guys? How's everything? I hope that your Friday is going really, really amazing. Hola, I am Fabi, and I wanted to come by here and say hello and share some things with you. Oh, wait, let me mute myself because that was crazy. Anyways, I hope that everything's wonderful. If you're seeing me, please say hello. I wanna hear or see whoever's online. I want to talk to you guys and share a little bit about my one of my favorite topics in the whole wide world, which is obviously branding. It's my thing, it's my jam, it's my my business, my life, and a lot of the things that I do as an entrepreneur as well. But I really wanted to come by here and talk a little bit about, kind of in general, teaching you about what branding is and about what a brand strategy process, complete brand strategy process, should be like for your business, if you want to have success as an entrepreneur. I feel like this is super zoomed in. Anyways, so it's Friday night, but I kind of want to do this a little moment and just kind of share these things with you, just to get you thinking and get your wheels turning during the weekend, so that you kind of start thinking about what you're going to do as an entrepreneur to be able to build your own brand and business. Now, branding is probably one of the most important things and kind of misunderstood things in building, in creating your own brands. And branding is creating your brands and building your own businesses, because people tend to think that branding is about design, right? People tend to think, my husband just dropped something. So anyways, people tend to think that branding is about a logo, right? That's it. Branding is about this cute little logo, this nice looking website, and that's all that you need to know about that. But that's completely untrue and completely wrong. And if you're only focusing, when you're talking about branding, on the visual aspect, your colors and your fonts, and not really working on creating a strategy behind exactly why you're doing things or how you're doing them, unfortunately, it's likely that you're going to end up failing. Now, research says that 90% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. And if you go look and research why that happens, you're going to discover that 9 out of 10 times it's because of branding. And when I talk about branding, of course, I mean the whole picture. So for me, there are three pillars, three core aspects that you need to work as a business in order to build your brand, right? So these are the three pillars of branding. And the three of them are the foundation of your brand, the identity of your brand, which is what most people think that branding is, and the experience of your brand, okay? So which is how your brand lives in the world. So I want to kind of walk you through what my brand strategy process is and how I work with my clients in building their brands and going through these three different pillars, and how important it is to make sure you kind of get it right, and you do things, and you're building your brand and setting yourself up for success. Because if you're only focusing on one of these pillars, so if you're only focusing on the foundation of your brand, but everything else is missing, if you're only focusing on design but there's no foundation, if you're only focusing on marketing, which is what a lot of people do, right? Let's do it. Let's go for marketing. Let's start going out with the strategies and get things going. But you forget about the essence of who you are and who your audience is, you're out as well. So you need to make sure that these three pillars are kind of like, like a stool with the three legs, right? I'm trying to translate from English to Spanish, but sorry, from Spanish to English, but yeah. Anyway, so it's like you're taking something out, and the whole thing is gonna fall apart. You got the concept. I'm sure that I got the words wrong, but I think you got the concept. And by the way, if you're watching me live, please comment or give me a like or something so that I know that you're there. Anyway, so let's talk about how we work on developing that first pillar, okay? We're going to go through each of the three pillars, but we're going to talk about the first one first. So the brand foundation is all about building out the essence of your brand. It's about determining who you are, what your purpose is, what your core message is, what makes you unique, who your audience is. Three-legged stool. Thank you very much. You see, you got what I was saying. Anyways, who your audience is, building out communication, building out how you're going to reach out and connect with people. So the brand foundation, it's almost like really the foundation, the blueprint to your own business. Now, what I tend to do is I go through a really complete process with my clients in order to make sure that this is done down to the last little detail, right? For me, it's essential that we get this right, because without the essence of your brand, it kind of all falls apart. It doesn't make any sense. If you don't know who you are, if you don't know what makes you different, if you don't know who your audience is or how to communicate with them, how are you going to communicate with them? How are you going to show your value and build your credibility and build a business if you don't know what's so special about you? If you don't know what makes you unique, if you don't know how to connect with people, right? So you need to make sure that you get this right. So what I do with my clients is we start with going through a complete process where we really build out that foundation and get total clarity. So I'm going to show you what if I do is I built a brand strategy book, and I'm going to show this to you. I realize now that this is kind of in Spanglish because this client in particular speaks. Let me see, just make sure that I'm sharing the right screen. That she was speaking. Yeah, I am. Okay, she speaks Spanish and English, so her whole thing was Spanglish. But anyways, what we do is really build out the strategy of the brand like this, right? So what I do is build this book where, let me just make sure that you're seeing this. Okay, yeah. So where we go through all these different things like your brand values, right? The values are, and this is in Spanish, but you're going to get it. The values behind who you are as a brand, buzzwords and keywords that represent who you are, what your mission is, where you're going, what your purpose is, what your offer is. So obviously understanding what you're going to offer and what you're going to sell is essential. Your unique selling proposition, obviously mega important, something that people tend to forget, right? Understanding what are the things that make you unique and different from everyone else. This is something that is pretty cool. I think I'm going to actually stop sharing this and share it when in English, because I think it's going to be easier for you guys to see. But so, okay. So with the brand values pyramid is one of my favorite things to talk about because it's about the elements of value that you give. Let me just share this with you guys. Give me 1 second. Okay. So this is a really awesome client that I'm working with right now, and I'm going to tag her in this afterwards. Wait, Blasted Fitness Method is the name of her brand, her business. Okay. So with the brand values pyramid, this is something that's really, really interesting and really cool. Now, you know how Maslow's pyramid, hierarchy of needs pyramid, we all heard of it. We all studied it in school at some point. How, we have this kind of basic elements that we need to figure out, or we need met. These needs that we need met, anyways, needs that we need to meet. I don't know. Anyways, and as you move up that pyramid, you're going to have more and more things that are going on a deeper level, right? So this is kind of the same concept, and we cover and talk about the value that you as a brand are giving to your clients, right? So usually what people focus on communicating are the functional benefits, which are like the features, right? So you're giving them variety, you're helping them make money, you're helping them save time, you're helping them, you're giving them quality, you're reducing costs. So usually what people do and do incorrectly is only focus on communicating this, right? The base of that pyramid, those functional benefits, those features, and not really communicating the things that are on top. So other things are emotional benefits and then life-changing benefits. So these are the things that you are really doing as a business, right? So you're really communicating, you're being therapeutic or reducing anxiety or helping them have this feeling of hope and belonging. So this is kind of part of what we go over, what I go over with my clients, helping them understand what type of value they're giving, what type of benefits they are giving to their audience on a functional and an emotional and on a life-changing level. So let me go back to the join this one. So once we go through that and understanding, who they are as a brand and who, wait, I'm opening this up again. Did I close it? I did. Anyways, okay. So once we go through that and defining who they are, what their values are, what things make them unique, one of the things that I like covering the most is talking about what I call the before and the after. And the before and the after is basically, where your audience is before they come to you and where they are after, right? And that transformation, that process from taking them from the before to the after is the real thing that you as a business actually do. So part of, building the foundation of your brand, and I'm talking about the 3 pillars of branding, and this is the first pillar, which is the brand foundation, is understanding what it is that you really do. No, you're not a coach. That's kind of the thing, like the tool behind it. But what you really do is you help people feel better about themselves. You give them hope. You give them, I don't know, you help them be independent, or there's other layers to what you really do. And what you want to understand as a business is what those things are. Then once we get through that, defining that essence of your message and that essence of the things that make you unique, you obviously have to go in and understanding who your audience is. And this is fundamental to any business out there, because what happens a lot is people think like, I don't, like, my audience is anybody that buys. That's it. I don't care. But the truth is that you really need to understand exactly who your audience is. You really have to understand who they are, where they come from, what their problems are, what's keeping them up at night. Because the more that you understand who they are, the more that you simply start creating products and services that are going to be catered towards them first. And secondly, the better you are going to be at communicating at them. It's one thing for me to be like, hey, I sell branding for business owners, right? And another thing for me to be able to go out and say, well, I sell branding for people that are, have been in business for less than 3 years. They're just starting out. They're wanting to launch their business online. They have a ton of experience because they've studied, they've prepared themselves, they did an MBA, or they came from corporate and have been doing this for years. And now they want to turn that experience into their own business, but they don't know exactly how they're going to do it. So what I do is help them, guide them through the process so they can build their whole brand. So you see the difference between me going into that much detail and about really, and I could even go further talking about how my ideal audience are people that really want freedom. They want time. They're tired of doing these things where it's like, okay, I'm making money, but I'm not being challenged. I want to have independence. I want to make things happen for myself. I want to change my life. I want to have more time with my family. So it's very different if I go into all these details and pain points and talk about who they are and where they are in their careers. Whereas if I just say, well, I just sell for, I do branding for anybody that needs a brand. See the big difference, So the more that you get clear on how to communicate or who your audience is, the better you're going to be at communicating with them. So the brand foundation is about bringing together all of these things, really understanding who you are, what makes you different, all of these things that I just mentioned. And from there, I go on to that second part, which is what usually people think branding is all about, which is the brand identity, right? So that's where the visual aspect comes through. Now, what happens is that because we build out the foundation, because we build out that essence, there's a ton of clarity on who you are as a business. And that clarity is going to carry itself on that visual representation of your brand, right? So what happens is that you don't, if you were to skip that first step, it's likely that you're going to end up rebranding or redesigning in a few years because you weren't clear about who you were in the first place, right? So the clearer or the more clear you are about who you are as a business, the more that you're going to get better at making sure that your brand represents who you are and brings that value. Because here's the thing as well. When you get all that clarity from the first pillar of branding, you get this level of confidence that you never had before, because now you understand the things that make you different, who your audience is, a better way to connect with them. So all of these things are kind of building out this value that you have. And now visually, it's your turn to represent that. So what I do is after we go through the branding, through the brand foundation, we go to create the visual representation of your brand. So this is, I don't know how much you're going to be able to see. Let me see. So this is from Joyness, the client that I was showing you before. And her brand is about project management for marketing project management. So this is what her branding looks like right now. Like this is the finalized version. So she has her main logo. She has alternate versions of that, so this blue one, the kind of salmon one, and then these little variations. So we talk about colors and defining these things. Now, obviously, this is kind of what it ends up looking at the end, but I did want to show you this. This is a little bit of my process and how I work with going through, all of these options. This was the first one that I sent her. And then just all of these things, playing with fonts, playing with symbols, playing with all of these different aspects. And then once we got through that, we decided upon the color. And then, this is kind of what that whole brand strategy process is like, and how the building out that brand identity is for me. It's not as simple as here it is, but there's a ton that goes into it. And this is one document. Actually there were a lot more and a lot more versions than this. So yeah, just wanted to show you guys that. That's pretty crazy, right? Anyway, so once we get through and define what that final logo looks like, we go into making sure that the brand is looking the same everywhere, right? So that, again, first aspect of the branding, or the first pillar of branding, brand foundation, defining the essence of your brand. Second pillar of branding is a brand identity, which is talking about or building out the visual aspect of your brand, what your brand actually looks like, colors, fonts, how it's going to come across. And then the third pillar of branding is one of my favorite one of all, which is the brand experience, which is basically about how your brand lives in the world, right? So here's where your website comes to life, or how your brand lives anywhere. It doesn't necessarily have to be only on your website. Now, obviously the website is kind of that first place, and I'll show you what this Join This brand looks like right now. And I'm doing a lot of advertising for Join This, so go check them out, jointhis.com. So in her case, part of it was also getting out to that concept of what Join This is, of course, but then building out this website that really represented who she was as a business, and really kind of brought out that her strengths and what she wanted to convey, right? Something that was very simple, something that was extremely clean, that really looked really nice, that looked I don't know, like something very fresh. This is what she wanted in her own brand, and what we wanted to represent from what we had built from that brand foundation. So this is a huge part of, getting through this process of building, and I'll show you, the brand experience. But then this is also a part of it. And part of what I do for my clients is create these templates for them so that they can then go in and basically just change them, right? So what I do is I go into Canva, I create templates for their opt-ins, for example, and she can just go in here afterwards and change this and edit it and add new things to give to her own clients and things like that. So it's a really, really great process, because there's absolute clarity on the way that her brand looks like. These are what the blog posts look like, and this is one of the templates that I created for her as well. And then, it's not only about obviously creating the website and creating the opt-in templates and things like that, but actually building out that funnel and that structure for them. So what I do, and I'll show you this, I should have had this open, by the way, is get my clients through a marketing strategy training, right? And, before I didn't do this. I used to just focus on giving design. But what I realized is my process as an entrepreneur has moved forward, is that I really want to set up my clients for success. So giving them the brand, here you go, you have the foundation, you have that beautiful brand book, you have, and we can kind of go through this right here. Just give me 1 second. You have that beautiful brand book, you have the logo, you have the website, you have all these things. Let me show this to you right here. Okay, so you have, here it is. Okay, so you have the brand book with all these wonderful things where we cover, the essence of your brand, what makes you unique, your core message, all the things about the brand foundation. We have your identity, your logo, wonderful. You also have the website. But what's important for me was kind of giving them the structure of what they need to do afterwards. So, okay, I have my website, now what? So what I did was I created a marketing strategy section within my website, and I give my clients training on how to build a sales funnel, how to drive people to your sales funnel, how to get clients through Facebook. So what are you going to do? Okay, you have your website, you have your brand, you have everything. Now what happens, right? So I really go through this complete process of teaching them what a sales funnel is, what are the parts of a sales funnel. Let me see if I can show you, what content marketing is. There's one part that I want to show you. What type of content you want to create, what different types of audiences. So there's hot audiences, there are cold audiences, there are warm audiences, what type of content each of them has. Let me see. Okay, this is what I wanted to show you. So I talk about different types of funnels, and if you're a service-based industry, what that funnel should look like, or if you're a product-based. So I really guide them through the process to make sure that they get this right. And then we build out that funnel together, right? So I give them a guide, like an email guide, what each of your emails should have within your funnel. I give them social media templates, social media strategy guides. So what are you going to do in social media? How are you going to be posting? What are you going to be creating? And what your blog posts, if you're doing if you're blogging, what are they going to look like? What should your Facebook pages look like? How many times a day should you be publishing? So all of these different things, and then Facebook group strategies, how to get clients. So, it's funny because as I have advanced in my career, I have just added more things. And the reason why is that I really want to set people up for success. I have had a really long, not really long, but it feels like a really long journey in my own experience as an entrepreneur. I mean, I've been in business for 11 years, but this new phase of my business has been like in the past 2 years. And what I have learned is that it takes those 3 parts of your brand, and again, the brand foundation, brand identity, brand experience, it takes the 3 of them to make it work. And I'll show you why and what I mean on this. So let's say, so here we go. The 3 parts: foundation, identity, and experience, right? So let's say that you have, just using that Join This example, let's say that you have the visual aspect, the identity, and the experience. It's built, it's ready, you're ready to go, but you don't have the foundation built out. So in this case, I would say her website would say something like, "Hi, I'm Joe. I have a degree in advertising and a minor in marketing. I worked for Viacom for 15 years and I have a ton of experience, and I am a project manager. Download a checklist of what you need to know if you are a virtual assistant." Now, if this is what her copy on her website would be like, it would tell me nothing about who she is and what she does. So this would mean that her foundation would be completely off. She's not giving me clarity on who she is, what makes her unique, who her audience is, how she's serving them. I have no clue. So yeah, it might look amazing. Yeah, you might have an incredible funnel in there, but you're not going to drive people in. Now, let's talk about the case where you have the foundation based out created and you have the experience created with a great funnel, all the marketing, but your brand looks like this. You're going to lose people immediately, right? Because you're going to lose credibility right away. And then the third case is you have the foundation, you have the identity, but you don't have an experience. You have no marketing funnel, or you have nothing to really drive people in. So what happens is people land on your website and then, oops, I got a Facebook message. Whoops. Or email, and now I got a messenger, a message, and then look at this cute dog on Instagram, and then by this point, you completely forgot about Join This. You completely forgot about who they are. She failed to capture me, and I'm out. So that's why it's essential that you have to really make sure that you're bringing everything together, right? The communication is right, the image is right, and then the experience and the marketing are in there as well, because all these things are the things that are going to basically guarantee your success. I mean, how can you have success as a business if you don't know who you are? How can you have success if you're not visually representing your value? And I always go through that because I feel like, people, we get it, but then we don't get it, in the sense that everybody judges a book by its cover. And it's okay that we do that. I mean, not for everything, it's not okay. But essentially, it's about the way that you're representing yourself as a business. And you don't want to represent yourself as some crappy brand just because you're kind of waiting out to see if people end up buying from you. And I always give this example. It's like if you had a restaurant and you had the most amazing chef in the whole wide world, incredible food, like amazing. And then you serve your food on paper plates, just kind of to see if people like it. And if people like it, then you're going to invest in buying the nice plates. That's not how it works. That is not how it works. Unfortunately, talent alone or good intentions alone aren't enough to get you to have success in your business. You need to be able to present yourself and set yourself up for success. And the way that you do that is by making sure that the 3 pillars of branding are really built out. Now, what I try to do with that process is really go into, creating what I call a brand that attracts. Now, this is my thing. This is my jam, right? My expertise and what I have worked on building on my own business as much as possible. And a brand that attracts has 5 core things that need to be there. Now, by the way, brands that attract are brands and businesses are absolutely the most successful you can see out there. So they can be really small or they can be really big businesses, but they're really successful and they have these 5 core elements. The first one is clarity. You know your purpose, you know who you are, you know your audience, you know where you're going, you know, you have a very clear vision of who you are as a business. The second one is confidence. Now, there's no brand out there that can make it and be successful if you don't have confidence in what it is that you do. If you don't believe in what you do, there's no way that people are going to buy from you, period. And it doesn't matter if you have the most amazing product in the world. If you don't believe that your product is the most amazing product in the world, people won't buy. Does that make sense? Give me a 1 in the comments if that makes sense to you. You know, basically it's about you believing in yourself, right? So that's a second part or element of a brand that attracts. A third one is magnetism. And when I talk about magnetism is basically the capacity to bring clients in, the capacity to really connect and captivate with your audience, and sell to them basically and connect with them. So a brand that attracts, a business that is successful is a business that attracts clients, of course. The fourth thing is value. And when I talk about value, I mean visually. You want to really visually represent how you are, as you know, the value that you're creating, that, you know, the strengths that you have, the amazing thing that you're doing for your clients. You want to make sure that visually your brand represents that. The reason why Apple is Apple is because, yes, they have great products, but hello, that perfect and beautiful packaging, do you think it doesn't affect the way that we perceive the brand? We perceive it to be, you know, this amazing thing because they take care of all the details. And it tells you just by opening that beautiful box, it tells you they are taking care of, you know, the quality of their product, and they're giving you that quality again as well. It's an aspirational thing. You're buying into this lifestyle of quality, of luxury, right? So this is exactly what you want to make sure that your brand looks like and how it represents. And then the final aspect or the final element of a brand that attracts is impact. Of course, a brand that, you know, a successful business has to have impact both on the world or in your community, whatever you want to call it, as well as your income, of course, right? So you want to make sure that you're creating products and services that are making an impact on people and on yourself as well. Really, really, really important for you to be able to, you know, do that. And for me and my experience, the way that you are able to build those 5 things from a brand that attracts, again, confidence or clarity, confidence, magnetism, value, and impact, is by working on the 3 pillars of branding: the brand foundation, the brand identity, and the brand experience. Once you build those 3 pillars, the 5 core aspects of a brand that attracts are going to be built out. And that's exactly what I have focused in my own business. Now, obviously, visually, for me, easy, you know, making sure that I had a brand that looked amazing. The foundation, pretty easy as well. But it's a work, I mean, it's something that is evolving, obviously. I mean, what I mean with this is I have clarity on my core message, but your message can evolve over the years, first. And secondly, your audience tends to evolve as well. I have changed my audience or have niched down more and more as I have progressed in my business and as I have discovered who I like to work with the most. So before, I used to work with a lot of businesses that were rebranding, and I still do, by the way. But my favorite clients are people that are starting out, that have been in business for a year or 2 years or less, or haven't even been in business yet. So my brand is really geared mostly toward those people. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't ever take clients that are rebranding, because I have tons of rebranding clients that I love working with. But for me, it's important to understand that my communication is there. So it's a work in progress. And then the experience of my brand, the marketing where it comes to life, that changes as well. So you want to just make sure that you're always building on those 3 things. And the more that you build on them, the more success you're going to have in the long term, which is obviously what everybody wants as, you know, business owners. That's what we want. We want long-term success. I don't want success for a month and then, you know, be broke or something like that, or close my business. Nobody wants that. So anyways, I just kind of wanted to share with you this whole process and teach you a little bit about what it is that I do and how it is that I make sure that my clients have success, and why my clients have success. The reason why that happens is because we're building a brand kind of in a holistic way. You know, we're connecting dots. We're making sure that everything comes to life in a way that really represents who they are, and then gives them the strategy and the steps to move forward after they're finished working with me and after they have launched their brands. Anyways, I hope that you liked this video and it was super helpful for you and useful. And leave me a comment below if you have any questions, or tell me about your brand strategy process and how you have been working on your own brand. Bye.